Today on CityCast Austin, it's the Friday News Roundup. We're here to talk about a few stories that you need to know about from this week, like the fallout from the allegations about César Chávez, the best movies that screened at South by Southwest, and our weekend picks. It's Friday, March 20th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here with our executive producer, Eva Ruth Moravec. What's up, Eva Ruth?
Hello, hello.
And for this first section, we're joined by Lauren McGaughy, Texas politics reporter for the New York Times. What's up, Lauren?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Now big changes are underway here in the aftermath of a bombshell story by the New York Times. Austin is now in the process of renaming streets, canceling celebrations and marches, and possibly repainting murals after allegations that Latino civil rights leader César Chávez sexually assaulted and abused women and girls. So quick backstory. He co-founded the United Farm Workers with Dolores Huerta. Now, Huerta is now 95. She says she felt manipulated by him in 2 sexual encounters, which resulted in children that were raised by other families. New York Times reporters interviewed more than 60 people for this article. Also, they reviewed hundreds of pages of union records, confidential emails, photographs, and other materials. So, okay, Lauren, can you make sense of it, please? Yeah, tagging you in.
Oh my Lord! I mean, how do you make sense of something like this, right? This was a project that my new colleagues at the New York Times were working on for 5 years. I suggest trying to get through the whole story. It's a tough story to read. I'm not going to lie, and we don't all have to consume every bit of media, right? But I think it was very, it's just a really unflinching look at a different side of this person that some people knew, but not many of us in the public did. But I think that the background of how they reported it out too was very powerful. This is just a testament to giving people the time to tell their stories in the way that they wanted to tell them, and not pressuring, not pushing, and waiting sometimes years for people to be ready to talk about it. So from my experience as a reporter myself, I didn't work on this investigation. I just worked on the fallout bit of it. But this was probably like the fastest and most notable reaction I've seen to almost any investigative piece in a really long time. I mean, it was just, one after the other. Yeah, immediate. And so that was interesting to just see how quickly people were willing to, to have a conversation about what needed to be changed because of this reporting.
The swiftness, it doesn't surprise me, right? I think there's so many factors. Definitely, we are at a time now where these things are way more quickly scrutinized, and like immediately, it's like not because of Me Too, but Me Too has really helped shift the kind of amount of tolerance that exists for something like this. But I also think that, he was a brown man that did something bad, and I think that I think that we have no. It's typically a very quick road to get to doing what needs to be done when the person is brown too. So I think it's like multifaceted. It's fascinating. I'm fascinated by it.
I think another reason why people moved so quickly was because we were like right on the brink of a couple big celebrations for him. We were going to celebrate César Chávez and Dolores Huerta in a march that was scheduled for March 28th here in Austin. And then there was also César Chávez Day that was previously a state holiday, and that was going to be on March 31st. And that was just canceled too. And I think we should scrutinize why, there are examples of other people being accused of horrendous sexual assault and misconduct who don't have this fast of a reaction. And I do think it's important to wonder why.
I think the few things that were different in this case were, one, he's dead, right? In a way, I mean, there's no
can't libel the dead.
He can't speak for himself, and his family came out and sided with the women that raised these concerns. I think the second thing was, it's always Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, right? And she herself coming out and, saying that she had never told anyone about this alleged abuse, including the children that she say were born from these two incidents of sexual assault and rape. I think that I spoke to some Latino leaders here in Austin that did not believe the allegations until they read her story.
Right.
And that was it for them. They were like, she was right there with him.
Yeah.
And she is saying these things. I have to believe it. And then third, I think in terms of the reaction, something that was so different was, immediately seeing Mexican-American leaders and groups in Texas being the ones to be the first to say, we need to acknowledge this. Like the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus in the Texas House, which is the premier caucus for people advocating on behalf of, the same things that Cesar Chavez was advocating on, were the ones that said, next session, we are going to lead the way to officially having Cesar Chavez Day be removed from state calendars. And so it was a confluence of all these things that just felt so much more immediate and powerful in the moment than we've seen maybe for some other folks. But I think it's important to acknowledge those, what would have happened for X person, right? If those dominoes had fallen for someone else, in a similar, with similar allegations or in a similar position, right?
Yeah. Anytime something like this happens and it is nuanced in this way, and especially, I think that we are all affected, but I also think that, you still have this woman, Dolores, who did all this work and also still deserves to be recognized and deserves to be recognized separately from him now at this point, and deserves to have the work still remembered. And so it's always this complicated dance between, can we separate the person from what they've done? And I ain't gonna lie to you, when it comes to children and when it comes to things like sexual assault, it's very hard for me to separate what you've done with what you know what I mean? Like what you've brought into the world or it's hard because it's atrocious, right? What you're doing is terrible. But this man has been admired and revered for his work in the farm worker movement. Chavez had close ties here. He led rallies at the Capitol and supported local labor strikes. And when he died in 1993, First Street was renamed Cesar Chavez Street. And so officials are supporting renaming the street.
My understanding was that the group, the group that first proposed the name change is putting together a resolution, and they will bring that to the city council, and then the discussions will go from there. And they told me it might take a while. It might take a month for all of that to come together.
Well, they have done it before. We used to have Robert E. Lee Street or Robert E. Lee Boulevard, whatever it was, over by Zilker Park. So, there was also statues of Confederate heroes at University of Texas at Austin campus. So it's not like we haven't reckoned with this kind of stuff before.
For sure. The farm workers movement and fight for civil rights will always be bigger than one person. This is a statement from council members Vanessa Fuentes, Jose Velasquez, Chito Vela, and Delia Garza, who is the county attorney. The Chavez statue at the University of Texas, we don't know if it'll be removed. There's a mural of Cesar Chavez painted in 2023 at 1204 East Cesar Chavez. This man is all over our city, I guess is the best way to say that. Cesar Chavez Day was March 31st. It has been canceled. Governor Abbott says reports on the horrific and widely acknowledged sexual assault allegations against Cesar Chavez rightfully dismantle the myth of this progressive hero and undermine the narrative that elevated Chavez as a figure worthy of official state celebration. Directing all state agencies to comply, it will remove Cesar Chavez Day from state law this next session. Heard. I get it. What about Dolores? I do think that our community, our Mexican-American community, our Latina community still needs something to commemorate this movement. And I'm curious what that will be.
Yeah, I've already heard from almost everyone that I talked to who was proposing these changes, then in the next breath said, maybe the proper move is to rename these places for her.
Yeah.
Because, I think Eva Ruth mentioned, the march that was scheduled for March 28th in Austin was the Cesar Chavez and Dolores were to march, right? And so it just canceling it means that the movement that they created also won't be recognized in that same way, right?
Exactly.
And I think we've seen politically, we have seen people on the right and conservative leaders use this as a way to say, your hero is gone, and in some ways maybe to impugn the movement itself. But, so that does leave up the question to the organizers of those groups and to the United Farm Workers who have broken from Cesar Chavez already.
Right.
How are they going to move forward with their legacy and who they choose as a standard bearer for their legacy?
Yeah. This is going to sound redundant and silly, but I hate things like this. I hate these. Yeah. I hate when we, that old saying, don't meet your idols. It's not that we're meeting it, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like we keep finding out.
TMI.
It's like, man, you've taken something so important and kind of ruined it.
Y'all both touched on this main question of like, can you separate him from the movement? And I think that was what Dolores Huerta sounds like she was struggling with herself. Why she didn't, one of the reasons maybe why she wasn't able to talk about these allegations more was she didn't want to, stain
hurt the movement.
The work.
Yeah.
I think that to kind of like highlight the complication and the tension of this, there was a quote that KVU had from a woman named Bertha Ortiz, and she's active in one of the community groups. And she said, "My grandfather and many families of Austin traveled to Michigan, Ohio in the 1970s, 60s, and 80s as migrant farm workers out there to bring money for our kids and for our families. Don't take away what we know." So like the movement was important to people, did things for people, helped get people, rights and better access, better housing, better conditions for working. And we can't just pretend that didn't happen.
Something that I learned in reporting on the reaction to this is there was and this has been reported ad nauseum, but it was newer information to me that there was a very notable split between the Texas Farm Union and Cesar Chavez's organization in the 70s. Their big thing was they wanted to pass the right of collective action for farm workers in state law, and their movement fizzled out without them achieving that goal. But also there were breaks, there was like a secular versus religious argument, like should we be secular, so should we be faith-based? There was a lot of discussion about immigration. Cesar Chavez was very notably against or pro-deporting people that were in the country illegally. And that was a problem with some people, in the Texas movement. And so I think that maybe this moment is a moment also to learn more about the local leaders of the Texas Farm Workers Union and what they went through, right? And what they were able to achieve and not after they split. Because I think that is in some ways overshadowed because of how impactful Cesar Chavez's legacy was, right? So I didn't grow up in Texas. I didn't get Texas history class. I had California history, so we did learn about Cesar Chavez. But, maybe that's in terms of things that could come out of this, a time also to learn more about the local union leadership at that same time and why they split and that history, because it's really fascinating.
Wow.
Nice.
I love history.
Yeah. Well, we are definitely going to keep our eye on this. Lauren, thank you for coming on and chatting with us about it.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all talking about the reporting, and however difficult it may be, having these conversations are needed, right? We have
Yeah.
to talk about the hard stuff. So
Y'all go read the story if you can. It's you're right. It's rough, but it's real
rough.
good. It's
It's
good though. It's good. All right. Well, till next time.
Spring is upon us here in Austin, and you never know what the weather is going to be like. But the one thing I do know is that whatever the conditions, my Doer jeans will keep me comfortable. The fabric is high quality, and Doer uses these Cool Max fibers that help regulate your temperature so you won't get too hot. These pants are versatile and professional looking, so I know I can wear them running around downtown for all of South by Southwest, whether I'm watching a panel, taking in a screening of a new movie, or hearing amazing live music. Doer's performance denim are the only jeans you need for work, for lounging at home, or on the go. I know you're going to love Doer as much as I do, and it's time you get your own pair. So check out shopdoer.com/CC Austin, and you'll get 15% off of your first order. That's shopdoer.com/CC Austin.
Hey y'all, so by now you've heard me go on and on about Window Nation. You know about the 1,500 styles and colors you can choose from, the 50-point inspection of every window before it leaves the factory, and you know they've installed over 3 million windows across the country. But there's something that you might not know, or if you do, I want to remind you. Window Nation is the official window replacement partner of the Austin FC, and the 2026 season has started. So maybe you're looking to get some merch or maybe go to a game. Well, Window Nation has you covered. They have a way for you to score an Austin FC jersey, game day tickets, or maybe even a VIP experience. Now, if over 45,000 five-star reviews, a lifetime warranty on all their windows, or possible Austin FC swag isn't enough, right now you can also get up to 50% off all window styles. You already know what I'm going to say. Head on over to windownation.com to schedule a fast, free estimate now. That's windownation.com. Now, for this next story, we are bringing on friend of the pod, Eric Webb, a programming associate for South by Southwest Film and TV Festival. Eric, thank you for being here. Hello.
Hello, Nikki. It is so nice to be here, even though I was out till 3:30 last night, having fun celebrating the end of the festival.
Oh my God, Eric, I did not get to my house last night until 2:30. I don't know who I think I am. It's South by. South by makes you do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Y'all both just reverted to your 20s for South by, I feel like.
Oh, no,
Right here.
the spirit moved in a major way. Yeah.
So, okay, you have reported on South by Southwest for years. Off top, how do you feel this year was different, or was it just same?
You're right that I have been going to South by Southwest since before the dawn of time. I am from Austin, of course. So, like when I was a high schooler, was like bopping around to free things, getting swag. And then as a journalist, I've been covering it, since like 2011, I guess. And then, so now I want to make very clear, I do work with South by Southwest Film and TV Festival, but I do not speak for the festival. I speak for myself. I will say, I thought that this year's festival, even though it was like a little bit shorter and the music and the innovation and the film were all running together, from my standpoint, it seemed to be running really smoothly. I think it was like one of the best South bys yet. And if anything, I think making it a little shorter, like kind of made it feel like more of a concentrated, like rush of activity.
I've been having this conversation with a lot of people. I feel like TV and film were kind of the darlings of this year.
This might be an opportunity for me to check my film and TV privilege as someone who's only going to film and TV stuff.
Well, that's a big element of it, though. Film and TV is such a big part of South by that I think it's interesting that you can be on different tracks and like have kind of different experiences, because there was that concentration. You'd see a big group of people. It's like, what's happening? Who's over there? And it wasn't a musician. It wasn't for a venue. You know, it wasn't for the Rizbot.
They did have the Rivian installation in the middle of Congress, and there were cars going up and down giant hills, and that didn't have anything to do with film and TV. So checkmate.
I have done the footwork because every time I would go out, I was like, where is everybody? Like, I kept having this feeling of where is everybody? The whole time I was there, I was like, I am obviously in the wrong place because ain't nobody here. Where, like, where is
What am I
everybody
missing?
at? And then I would walk by the Paramount and I'd be like, oh, that's where everybody is. And it'd just be like two lines going different directions, crossing around the same building, like doing some sort of weird etch-a-sketch. And people were just there and happy to be standing in these long ass lines, or they'd be like across the street. And it was out of control. I mean, like, seriously, same thing at Alamo. Like, this is what I was, and Rollins, this is what I was consistently seeing, was just like, anytime I had this feeling of like, oh, I'm not at where everybody is at, which you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to have that feeling at South by because there's people everywhere. But then I would walk up to the Rollins Theater and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, clearly this is where the party is. I'm late.
Maybe that has something to do with the shorter festival, like just a couple days less.
Yeah.
Like people were packing. I know I felt that way. So during the festival, I introduced films and moderate Q&As as part of the Q&A team. I did 20 films this year, and which is about the same as I've done the past like couple years. I didn't really feel like I had like a lot of like wiggle room or downtime. I felt like I was pretty consistent going from one thing to the other. So maybe there's a little bit of that for other attendees as well. They were trying to pack in as much as they could.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to talk about these movies. Now, let's talk about what you saw, like what you loved, what were your favorite moments. Let's just get into what your picks are.
Yeah. No, so we'll call it 6 to watch out for. How about that? 6 films to watch out for.
Love that.
So I have 2 comedies to look out for. One is, I have said before, like, I can't really say like my favorite, but a film that I have imprinted upon like a baby bird. I will say that. The film Crashland, directed by Dempsey Brick. It is so good. And I have been so annoying about this movie. I have been talking about it to everyone who will listen. When people have been asking me what I've been enjoying, I have like said, oh, Crashland. And then like had kind of like a brain like freeze. And it's like, oh, I can't think of any other movies, but Crashland. It is about a group of teenage boys in rural Canada who make jackass-style stunt videos, and one of their own dies. And so the other 2 boys set out to make sort of the ultimate stunt film in his honor. And it is A, absolutely hilarious, B, exquisitely, excruciatingly Canadian, and C, I forget if I was numbering or lettering, but C or 3, one of my favorite genres of movies is boys learning how to do feelings and then doing feelings with each other and about each other. And
Aww.
This is that. It is these just like dumbass teenage boys learning how to deal with grief and learning how to like deal with like growing up. And it is marvelous. I will not stop talking about this movie. I'm not aware of any current like distribution plans, but I will be keeping an eye out, and I'll be seated opening weekends if it comes out.
I love this. I love it.
And my other comedy that I think is worth watching out for was actually one of the Buzz screenings at South by. So, you know, it had screenings on the schedule, and then because of good word of mouth, they added another screening for it. Edie Arnold is a Loser. It's directed by Megan Rico and Kate Atwood. And it is about a group of outcast Catholic schoolgirls who form a punk band. And it is, I would say, like top to bottom, one of the most joke-dense movies of South by this year. It is just like, has this great like rhythm. It felt like 30 Rock almost to me. And if you,
oh yeah,
right, yeah. And if you like stories about like little outcast nerdy girls who are like actually smarter than everyone around them, like finding themselves. And Nikki, I have a feeling you would. It's so good. It's so funny. So Edie Arnold is a Loser. And it's also, it kind of feels like a live action cartoon in a lot of ways. Like that's sort of the energy and the rhythm. It is just such like a sweet treat and delight. I love it. So those are my comedy picks.
Edie Arnold is a loser. I saw that on when I was doing my reservations. I was like, oh, this looks really, really good. And I went to go see something else that I didn't end up liking. So
Wow.
damn it.
Damn it. It's okay.
I should have texted you and be like, okay, which one? This or this? Because, you weren't busy. You weren't incredibly busy.
Yeah, excuse me, Eric. Which movie should I watch today?
I had nothing but free time. I was sitting on my ass. So, and also both of those comedies are first-time feature filmmakers. So I think it's even more impressive that, they put out such amazing opening salvos to their feature film directing careers. Now I have two horrors, and they're both horror films that are kind of a little outside the box. I'll start with one that is coming out in theaters later this year. It already has distribution from Neon. It's called Leviticus. It is an Australian horror movie, and I don't know if y'all have been following the Australian horror boom.
No.
We're getting a lot of amazing horror films out of Australia right now. This one is directed by Adrian Chiarella, and it is the movie we need right now. It's about two closeted gay boys in like a religious conservative community, Australia, and their church and their parents bring in like this exorcist guy to like, cast the gay demons out of them. But guess what? It actually like conjures this demonic entity or whatever that takes the form of what they desire most, which is each other. And then if they like try to, do what gay boys do, kiss or something, it might be the demon and it might try to kill them. Doesn't that sound like a treat?
What?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It is.
Oh, that's clever. I like that.
It's so
that's
clever.
Really clever.
And
that's clever.
It's kind of like It Follows, if you've seen that movie a little bit. It's sort of that like
yes,
unrelenting thing you can't get away from. And it's, I think horror has always been a vehicle, for social allegory and especially for queer themes. Like we have been exploring queerness in horror before we like could talk about queerness in films. And I just think it's a really smart take on that and super urgent, because I have long been of the mindset, like the fact that like conversion therapy and stuff like that is even seriously talked about at all, like in any sector or corner of the universe, is absolute madness to me. So it was very, it was very cathartic, I think.
Love this.
And then my second horror movie, it's called Rock Springs. It's directed by Vera Miao. It's starring Kelly Marie Tran and Benedict Wong and Jimmy O Yang. And it is a film about an Asian American family who move into this new house on this land that is haunted by the spirits of some Chinese miners who were brought there and then massacred. And it's based on a real historical massacre that happened. And it is the most thoughtfully done movie. It is a horror movie, to be totally clear. There's a big scary ghost that was made using like a practical effects suit, which I always love. And I did ask how big it was, and it was for a man who's 6 feet tall, so I can fit inside the ghost suit.
Whoa!
If it comes to it.
If it comes to that.
If it comes to that.
If the opportunity arises, for sure.
And I'm going to make it arise, don't worry. But I think we've seen a lot of horror movies that deal with, trauma and processing trauma and ghosts as trauma. And of course, folk horror is not anything new. But the way this was done, calling it a horror movie almost seems inaccurate, because it's such a thoughtful drama and such a really like intimate, powerful human story. And it's really just about like, the human cost of America and how, those scars and that pain lingers. And it's using, the story of Chinese American people to tell that specific story. I don't know. I talked to Vera like twice about the director, and she just like thought of every detail. And my favorite little detail is the score is super cool, and they use lots of unconventional instrumentation. And the composer recorded her actual father speaking, and then did the cool thing where he like distorted it and made it an instrument. And so the director's father's voice is like in the score, and I love that shit.
That's awesome.
I love a horror drama. I think because that's, to me, way more scary than anything else. It's just like the horrors within family and lineage and the past. And yeah, that sounds actually right up my alley. Even with the gigantic ghost, I'm into it.
Yeah. And the ghost is like, I'm not going to say he's cute, but like, you know, maybe he's misunderstood. I don't know. You know?
He's a complicated character.
He's a very complicated character. Oh my God, yeah. Okay, so those are my horror picks. And then I have 2 music documentaries. So the first one I want to highlight is A Cowboy in London, directed by Jared Christopher. And it's a documentary about Charlie Crockett, Austin's own Charlie Crockett, the son of San Benito, the rising country superstar. He is a real kind of force for authenticity in country music. He's reps his like RGV roots really strong. And this documentary captures him in a very pivotal moment in his career where he is performing 3 shows in London. So it's just this like Texas as hell guy on this sort of precipice of his career, this, you know, crossroads, performing completely out of context in jolly old London town. And so not only do you get to know, you know, more about him and his life, but you get to see him sort of out of his element and how he reacts to that. And it's just really interesting. And I don't like listen to a lot of country. And so I wasn't super familiar with Charlie or his music. And I am 100% a fan after this documentary.
Really?
Yeah, I really recommend it. And the other thing I will say about it too is, as someone who wasn't super familiar with his work, he is so obviously such a fan and student of music and of music history. And there's a moment in it where he talks about where his agent calls him and says that he booked the Houston Rodeo, and he talks about how much he loves Selena's performance at the Houston Rodeo and how he wants to like do something like what she did. And it's just like, he knows game, he knows ball.
Oh man, it's so funny. I have been seeing this man's face and hearing his name all over town. I have no idea who he is. A lot of people are talking about him, and I love that. I love this like buzziness. That's kind of what I feel like South by is all about. The buzziness, the crossover between music and film. I love this.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. And then I'm going to end with my favorite thing that I did over South by Southwest. My birthday always falls during South by. And
yes, Pisces.
And no, yes.
Hey.
And I use my skills, I use my psychic powers for good for the Noah Khan Out of Body documentary at the Paramount Theater. And I had a conversation with Noah Khan and director Nick Sweeney. And I was already a Noah Khan fan. I saw him at ACL Fest in like 2023. And he is just so earnest, so funny, so nakedly vulnerable in his songwriting. And you really see how much his artistic persona matches his like actual just real life persona in this film.
Wow.
Yeah. And he does a cool thing. He like so much of his career is about talking about mental health issues. And he opens up about body dysmorphia in the film, and I think it's really cool and really powerful to see like a very high profile male celebrity figure talking about those issues in public. And that one you can see on Netflix on April 13th, so soon.
Nice.
Wow. You are putting me on, because I too had no idea who Noah Khan was. I've been looking him up and creeping on the internet to learn more about him. Maybe the movie will be the hook for me, because I'm way more visual. Maybe the movie will be the like, gotcha.
I think it might be. I mean, you know, he's a folk pop singer. So if you're not like a folk pop person, wouldn't say I'm, you know, a crazy big huge folk pop fan, but I like a little strummy bing bang bong. And that's
how we are describing folk music from now on.
And that is
strummy bing bang bong.
That is the technical term for it.
That's the term.
Yeah.
It is now.
It is now. And I would just say like the music in the film is like, when I was doing the Q&A, I said, this is probably going to sound dumb as hell, but the music in your music documentary sounds really good. Like the performances are just filmed and recorded in a very impressive, excellent way that like feel like you're there in these huge venues he's playing. So I encourage you to check it out.
Surprise.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. So those are
That's awesome.
my 6 picks out of South by of films that you gotta keep an eye out for.
Awesome. Thank you,
Man.
Eric. That's solid.
Eric, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your movies with us. Thank you for being amazing. As usual, it is a pleasure.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hey, y'all. It's Eva Ruth. I don't know about you, but I feel like this time of year in Austin, the one thing that is consistent is that the weather is constantly changing. Our mornings can be really chilly, so you got to have your layers. But by the afternoon, you're burning up and peeling these layers off. So the one thing that I'm reaching for constantly is my Doer Shacket. That's right, a shirt jacket. It's a perfect neutral color, and it's made from this super high quality fabric that is so comfortable and cozy. And their clothing is really versatile. You can wear this shacket dressed up, dressed down, dressed all around. Doer's denim and lifestyle apparel is made for us to move freely without sacrificing comfort or style. And that sounds perfect for us Austinites. So if you don't have your own Doers yet, now is the time to check them out. Go to shopdoer.com/CC Austin and you'll get 15% off of your first order. That's shopdoer.com/CC Austin.
All right, we've been talking about movies and getting out in the city. I want to know what you're doing this weekend, Eva Ruth.
Today, Friday, is the UT women's basketball game. They are playing Missouri State. This is the first round of the NCAA tournament. And yeah, the women are the number 1 seed, so it should be a fun time. Then another thing, the Austin Public Library is holding a film festival on Saturday, and it's from 10:30 in the morning to 6 at night. It's at the Spicewood Springs branch, and they are showing a variety of short films made by Texans. And this is cool. I think it's really neat that the film festival fun is still happening, and it's free. Obviously, no badge required. Little South by joke. And then on Sunday, something else that I would recommend is checking out Yitzhak Perlman at the Long Center. This was my hero when I was a child.
Okay.
A little insight into my dorkiness. I played violin starting at the age of 3, and
amazing.
I loved me some Yitzhak Perlman. He's a very talented violinist from Israel who has had polio as a child and has been in a wheelchair for most of his life, and he's just an incredible musician. So if you get the chance to see him, there's still tickets available for Sunday starting at $64. So
Dang.
we'll link to that in the show notes. For anyone who wants to check that out.
I do not know why this is making me laugh. I don't know why. I'm a 12-year-old. I don't know why I'm laughing about this.
Well, not everyone is into classical music. It's a niche. It's a niche.
It is. You know, I definitely have. I have a friend who she loves it so much that it's like it's on in her car all the time. So like I'll get in her car and there's classical music blaring in her car. And I'm like, what is happening? What in the chamber music shit is, what is this? Anyways.
Those are my top recs. Do you have any?
I do.
What are you getting into this weekend?
So y'all, South by might be over, but I think that because my theory is because it was shortened, the town was just like, no, we still have more music that we need people to come see. We still have stuff happening, and it'll be over when I say it's over. So this weekend is like full of music. It's like still full of music. So we got 2 things that's going on all weekend. So Chess Club's 4-year anniversary started yesterday, and it's going all weekend. And so you have an opportunity to go see bands at Chess Club all weekend. Each day is $12. So for $12, you can go and see like 5 or 6 bands. It's happening all night. Doors are at 8 and all the shows get started at 9 o'clock. And then the other thing that's happening all weekend, again, is the SoCo, 4th annual SoCo Stomp. Today, tomorrow, and Sunday at Seaboy's Heart and Soul, you can see music, noon to 7:30 each day, and it is free.
That's crazy. They really are just doing their own little mini South by.
They're just doing their own mini South by. Like
nobody told Seaboys it's over.
Yeah, Seaboys is like, we do what we want, and we're gonna keep having bands. They're gonna have bands inside and outside. So there's an inside stage and an outside stage, and the lineup is it's crazy. Chuck Prophet and his Cumbia Shoes are playing tonight, and I saw them the other day. They're really, really good. Next of Kin is playing, which I also now apparently like. I did not, that was not on my bingo card to like Next of Kin, but I like them too. So something I want to mention specifically that's happening on Saturday. I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I love Robert Plant. Robert Plant will be at ACL Live at the Moody Theater on Saturday. 7:30 p.m. Robert Plant.
Amazing.
Do with that information as you will. So that's all the stuff that I wanted to talk about on here. And I'm going to have some more things on my picks. So if you have not gone to the Instagrams and looked at my video for Nikki's picks, that will have more information for you. And as usual, Kelsey's event list. Kelsey has an event list on our newsletter. We are trying to provide you everything you need. Provide you everything you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're tired of South by and you want to sit at home, you can do that too. And that is it. Those are our picks. So before we go, I want to invite you guys to become our CityCast Austin neighbor. So in case you don't know about our membership program, you can join today for $10 a month or $100 a year. And you'll get special access to our events listing every week. You got other perks like members only events. We got some cute swag. We say your name on the podcast. We chit chat. We hang out. It's a good time. But also you just have access to really, really great CityCast Austin programming. And I'm nosy and I want to get to know you. So go to membership.citycast.fm to become a CityCast Austin neighbor today. Thanks.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Hey, Ruth, thank you for rounding out the news with me. Thank you so much to Laura McGaughy and Eric Webb for being on and hanging out with us. And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. Our executive producer is Eva Ruth Moravec. Our producers this week are Lizzie Goldsmith, Jesse Wiza, PJ Shahamat, Matthew Rogers, and Alyssa Castles. And I am your host, Nikki Devon. Our CityCast Austin newsletter editor is Kelsey Bradshaw. Music is by Nelson Valente Aguilar of Como Las Movies, with additional music by Alva Kimonos and Elliot Holmes and Wendy Marchini, courtesy of EpidemicSounds.com and 8Main 747 and Speedometer from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. You already know, if you enjoy our show, tell your friends. Rate our show. Leave us a review. Subscribe to our CityCast Austin newsletter. Give me a high five when you see me out and about, and I'll tell you all about who we are. Until then, we'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.